How do you destroy darkness? By turning on the light. You don't get rid of darkness by dimming down the darkness. You don't dim down the darkness, you turn on the light. Welcome to the Prime Life Project podcast, a place to help you unlock your full potential, both mentally and physically, to become the best version of you. Welcome back to another episode of the Prime Life Project podcast, a place to help you both mentally and physically become the best version of you. I'm your host, Daniel James, and today it's just me, myself, and I. I think for the next 3 episodes, it's just going to be me. I've got some good guests lined up, and I'm really looking forward to sharing them with you. As I sort of mentioned, I'm going to 2 episodes per week. I've been away in Canada, so January was a bit of a quiet month, but this month onwards, you'll be hearing from me on a Tuesday and a Thursday, so keep your ears peeled out for that. I say ears and eyes because obviously we're on YouTube as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you get notified of any future episodes. And again, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any future episodes. Got some good guests lined up, as I mentioned, on a whole host of topics that I'm really looking forward to deep diving. One was actually a topic of conversation that I had with someone in a consultation the other day. She was struggling with a specific issue. I'm not going into too much detail about it. And she sort of mentioned to me, she said, I see you do podcasts, and have you done a topic on this? And I was like, I actually haven't. So again, when you guys give me some inspiration, I'll then go out and see if I can find someone to actually talk on this topic, because fundamentally this podcast is all about you guys. It's not about me. It's about me trying to provide some information to you guys that you can use moving forward. So today, I want to talk about how to boost confidence and self-esteem. And I've just got a few little notes I've sort of taken on this, because went to a school yesterday and did my sort of normal talk, and it's something that I think a lot of people as adults struggle with. But again, when it sort of comes from is obviously when we're sort of growing up and going to secondary school and high school. And confidence and self-esteem is such a big thing nowadays. I think a lot of people have lost a lot of their self-confidence and self-esteem. So I just wanted to give like 8 ways and 8 tips on how we can actually sort of really sort of build this up and sort of regain that confidence, because it's very empowering. It's such an empowering experience when you can start to work through what's caused you to lose your confidence and then gain it back again. The actual art of regaining your confidence will help grow your confidence. It's a really sort of weird thing. The more you start to actually gain confidence, it's like a snowballing effect. The more you sort of work on this, the more you'll start to get it back. And a lot of people don't actually realize that they've lost their self-confidence or their self-esteem until a specific situation happens, and they sort of take a step back and they're like, wow, it didn't really used to be like this. Like, what's kind of happened? And it's just a really sort of interesting thing, and a whole host of things can cause you to lose your self-esteem or confidence. Again, it could be like a life event, like where something happens. Again, it can really knock you for 6. So I want to sort of really deep dive this, but I love giving definitions, like when we're talking about a specific topic. So got the one here for self-esteem. So self-esteem is confidence. So again, quite funny, like boost confidence and self-esteem, they're very tightly linked. So self-esteem is the confidence in one's own worth or abilities, which again, I think is a real powerful thing. Like, it's how do you actually feel about your worth as a human being? Your self-esteem is about your worth and your abilities, or it says or your abilities. So again, you can have your good self-worth, but actually you don't believe in your abilities. So you've still got good esteem in your worth as a human being, but actually not your abilities. Or consequently, you can have good self-esteem in your abilities, but not your self-worth. So again, kind of not tied together as the same thing. And again, it says here, self-esteem encompasses beliefs about oneself as well as emotional states. Now, this year, I'm really going to be deep diving into beliefs. Beliefs are something that we've spoken a little bit on the podcast before when it comes to guests, and I've mentioned it as well myself, talking through episodes where it's just me. But beliefs are such a key thing, because beliefs are just patterns of thought. When we keep thinking things, it then leads to us creating beliefs. Beliefs are just thoughts that we keep on thinking. And the problem is, if we're lacking self-esteem and confidence, it's going to come from our thoughts. We're going to be thinking thoughts that makes us not think we're confident with our worth and or our abilities. So your own self-worth, like you've started to question, you've started to think that you're not worthy. You've started to question your own self-worth through thoughts. And then over time, what's happened, these thoughts have become beliefs. Same with your abilities. You've told yourself, I can't do this, I can't do this. And again, over time, that's then become a belief. And as we sort of know, your thoughts lead to your feelings then lead to your actions. So if you're thinking these negative thoughts and you're getting these feelings, these negative feelings about your worth, about your abilities, the action you're going to take is going to be half-hearted. which is why we're struggling. So it's then just linking it back, just stripping it back. It all comes down to our thoughts. And the quality of our thoughts is the key to everything. Let me say that again. The quality of your thoughts is the key to absolutely everything. And this is only something now that I'm really starting to understand the power of this and the power of our thoughts and what it actually does to the experiences that we have in our lives. It's such a powerful thing. And once we start to actually break some of these negative thought patterns, it is completely freeing. Because if you're not aware of it, you can't do something about it. But as soon as you gain that awareness, which again is then the key, awareness of the thoughts is the key. Because if you're not aware of the negative thought patterns, you're going to stay stuck in the negative thought patterns. So again, as I keep mentioning, we're going to really deep dive this year because it's something that I am so passionate right now. This is something that I have been deep diving and I've been studying. But as I've sort of mentioned to you guys before, I don't just like to come on here and just start talking rubbish. Like I like to really understand the subject before I start to give my opinion on it, because I don't just want one of those people that's just spouting crap all over the internet. Like I want to actually have really sort of studied this myself and implemented it in my life before I talk about it. But again, that's completely off topic for the first 5 minutes, but it's kind of linked. Just understanding about the actual definition of self-esteem and one's own worth and abilities, but it encompasses your beliefs, and your beliefs come from your thoughts. So here, when we're talking about how to boost your confidence and self-esteem, what we're really talking about is how to change your thinking and your thought patterns in some way, shape or form. So I'm just going to share 8 ways on how we can actually do this. Because again, people right now are struggling, and I just want to give you some real usable, actionable steps that you can take. So the first one here is actually acknowledge your achievements. And that sounds really easy and really simple, but how many of you on a daily, weekly or monthly basis actually look back at what you've achieved, especially on a daily basis? We talk about the power of gratitude. Now, gratitude can be things you're grateful for. It can also be gratitude within yourself. You are grateful that you've actually achieved this, or that you've actually done something. So it's actually showing gratitude and that self-love for yourself. Because gratitude, again, is the precursor to happiness. You can't be happy unless you're grateful. So if you're struggling with that self-esteem, if you're struggling with that self-confidence, why not practice gratitude towards yourself and actually acknowledge your achievements for that day? And even if you're struggling right now so much that you are acknowledging your achievement of getting out of bed in the morning, awesome. Let's just start there. Because for some people, just getting out of bed in the morning is an achievement. Like that is like hard work, and I've been there. I've been in that situation. I was watching a documentary yesterday. It's called The Weight of Gold. If you haven't watched it, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's a 1-hour documentary about the mental health of people, the Olympians and gold medals. And one of the girls mentioned, she was a figure skater, that when she was at her lowest, a good day would be that she got out of bed and actually went outside and got some fresh air, and that's her on a good day. So when we talk about here about acknowledge your achievements, we're not talking about anything like groundbreaking. If you're really struggling that much with your self-esteem and self-confidence, just acknowledge the little things, that you have gone outside and gone for a walk, that you have got some fresh air, that actually you are there in your daughter or your son's life. All these smaller things build up. Just recognize those small little moments and the small progress that you've made, and give yourself credit for your success. Because again, remember, success is relative. When I go into schools, we talk about success, and basically we kind of break it all down, and success is completely relative. My definition and version of success and your version and definition is completely different. People will say that, got to be successful, you've got to have millions of pounds in the bank. Okay, well, how about someone like Gandhi? Because Gandhi didn't have millions of pounds in the bank, but look what he actually did for India. I would say he's extremely successful. But it depends what your definition of success is. So when we're talking about this here and saying give yourself credit for your success, don't think it has to be anything major. Just actually waking up and trying is a success if you've been struggling. Second one, embrace positive self-talk. Now, in order to embrace positive self-talk, you have to actually be able to question your thoughts. This self-talk, these thoughts that you're having. So with this, I'm going to take this a step further. Don't embrace that positive self-talk. Question and argue against the negative self-talk. Because if you're lacking self-esteem and self-confidence, what's normally happening is that voice inside your head is talking to you, and you're engaging with the negative self-talk. So in order to engage with the positive self-talk, you have to call the BS out on the negative. And understand that you can do that, because this is the problem. We don't realize this. When we get caught in that negative thought pattern, we start hearing that voice inside our head, and it can become relentless. Understand that you're in control of that, and you can stop it at any time just by questioning it, just by saying, no, I don't agree with that. You're wrong. And it may sound like you're going nuts, but you have the ability to talk to yourself and actually say, no, I don't agree with that. You're completely wrong. I'm not useless. I'm not a failure. I'm not worthless. I'm not hopeless. I'm not all these things. I'm not unlovable. I'm not whatever what this voice is saying to you. I'm not those things. I'm not that. I'm actually amazing. I'm just struggling right now, but I am an amazing person. So then you're starting to embrace that positive self-talk. How do you destroy darkness? By turning on the light. You don't get rid of darkness by dimming down the darkness. You don't dim down the darkness. You turn on the light. So don't engage with the negative. Don't engage with the darkness. Just turn on the light. Just say, no, I don't want it to be dark anymore. Bam, turn the light on. Now again, easier said than done. Because that negative self-talk is going to come back and it's going to come back and it's going to come back. But the more you start to embrace that positive self-talk and believe what you're saying, that's when that voice quietens down. That's when that darkness disappears. And even just for a second, if you just feel more empowered and more comfortable and confident, that can just give you that catalyst to take that extra step in the right direction. And that's all it takes. The more you engage with the positive, the stronger it gets. The problem is you may not have engaged in that positive for a very, very long time, so the negative's taken hold. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. We've all been there, especially myself. But just catch how you speak to and about yourself. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Catch yourself. Because remember, the words that you say come from your thoughts. So if you're speaking negatively out loud about yourself, either to yourself or to other people about yourself, understand where's that come from. If you're saying, I'm such an idiot, I'm so this, I'm so that, I'm so fat, but you're saying it, you're verbalizing it out loud, understand that these words came from your thoughts. So start to question them. Don't agree with them. Start to actually embrace that positive self-talk. And you may not like the body that you're currently in, but understand, your body does not define who you are as a person. You are not your body. You as a human being are more than your body. You are more than your hair color, more than your skin color. You're an amazing person, and you need to understand that. And as I mentioned before, just because your light has been dampened by darkness, it does not mean that your light is still not there. So start to allow it to shine. Start to allow yourself to embrace this positive self-talk. And again, always acknowledging your strengths and your weaknesses, and always looking for ways to improve. Here's the key thing, ways to improve. You're not a failure. When you mess up, you're not a failure. You look for the ways to improve to make sure it doesn't happen again. Key thing, we're not beating yourself up. I'm such an idiot, I'm such a loser. No. How can I improve this? What lessons have I learned? What can I do next time differently? You're putting that positive spin on it. So powerful, yet so many people don't realize they have the ability to actually do that. Number 3, take care of yourself. Now, before I sort of dive into this, when it comes to habits and stuff like that, I've done a number of podcasts on habits. If you're on YouTube, I'll link them across the top. And again, I've also done one on removing toxicity. That was episode 154. So again, if you want to go back to the whole episode on removing toxicity, because when it comes to taking care of yourself, you need to understand that if you are trying to take a bath in toxic water, disgusting swamp water, like no matter how much you try and get yourself clean and do this self-care on yourself, if your environment is toxic and disgusting and slimy, like you're never going to get clean. So right now, when it comes to working on yourself, understand that actually taking care of yourself involves you removing yourself from that toxic swamp water that may be your life and your environment. But we don't think about that. So too many times people are trying like, oh yeah, I'm working on myself, my habits, my routines, etc., etc. But if you're trying to improve habits and routines in the most toxic environment with toxic people, you're never ever going to succeed. Because it's so hard and you're automatically setting yourself up with so much work to do. And if you're struggling with self-esteem and confidence anyway, it makes it even harder. So understand that part of this actually comes down to doing the things you know you need to do to get yourself right. So taking care of yourself will start with removing yourself from toxic situations and people which may have contributed to your lack of self-esteem and confidence in the first place. Because again, remember, it's down to your own self-worth or abilities. So if someone's constantly telling you that you aren't worth anything, and it's always digging into your self-worth and makes you feel worthless, you need to get rid of them in your life. Because otherwise, by the definition of self-esteem, your self-esteem won't improve if someone that is constantly nagging at your self-worth and making you feel worthless is in your life. You can't improve that. And same with your abilities. If someone's constantly telling you aren't smart enough or you can't do this or whatever, you're never, ever, ever going to gain the confidence in your ability to do that with someone telling you that you can't. And then once you've then done that, it's then doing the basic stuff we know to take care of yourself, like developing those healthy habits. Again, exercise. I was listening to an amazing podcast when it comes to Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is talking about all the amazing stuff that he does, and he talks about why it's so successful is because when he is teaching and coaching people how to take control of their mental health and their mindset, that actually he does it so the body is moving. And he mentions that if your body is not physically moving, it makes it so much harder for your mental mindset to actually work and take on positive information. So it's understanding that actually just starting by doing some exercise and eating healthily will have a knock-on effect on your mental health, your self-esteem, and your self-worth. It's so, so powerful. And then on top of that, we've got sleep. Because sleep is one of the most underrated tools when it comes to mental health and mindset. There is so many studies that show how lack of sleep can affect your mental health. I'm very open and honest about talking about my struggles with sleep. When I struggle with sleep, if I have 2 bad nights sleep in a row, my mental health takes a nosedive. I lose that ability to quieten down that negative voice. Every single day I can tell it to, no, be quiet, I'm in charge. Bitch, sit, I'm in charge. But when I am tired, I find it so hard to say, no, I'm in charge. Because it requires energy that I don't have. And again, energy from sleeping, recharging. Because when you sleep, it's not just about your body repairing and restoring itself. Your brain goes through a process, I can't remember the name of it, but the brain literally cleans itself. It gets rid of all the built-up toxicity within the brain. So if you're not getting adequate sleep and you're building up all this toxicity, is it any wonder why you're struggling with your mental health? So again, when it comes to habits and routines, just start off looking at your sleep. Basic things. Get a sleep time, get a wake time. Tick. Basic things like just go and get 7,500 steps a day. Tick. And just see how those 2 things actually improve the quality of your life. And not only that, the quality of your mental health. Next one, number 4, set some goals. I know for me, myself personally, again, if I'm not moving towards a goal, I feel like I'm moving backwards. And again, you hear a lot of these top self-help people say that as well. If you're not moving forwards, you're moving backwards because you can't stay still because the world's always changing. And I agree with that to some extent. But you don't have to set yourself any crazy goals, but it's just saying each day, are you trying to get better in some way, shape or form? I literally had an amazing client of mine come and chat to me today. And I was saying to her, I have to read 10 pages a day of a book, non-fiction book, because no matter how bad the day gets, I then know that I have improved that from that morning. I've become a better version of myself because I've read 10 pages. That's something that I have to do. It's a non-negotiable for me. And if I don't do that, then I better do something else, like my meditation. But again, little things like that. So not necessarily setting a goal that's anything crazy, but it's, are you moving yourself in the right direction? Are you consciously locking in on moving forward and becoming a better version of yourself, whatever that looks like? Because part of the goals, setting goals is not about achieving the thing. I believe that goal setting is about growth. It's about how you grow in the process of actually achieving that goal. So what I'm saying to you is just, even if you're setting yourself that goal, it's not about getting that thing. It's about who you become in the process of getting that thing. And then you are growing. And as you're growing, you're becoming a better version of yourself. The better version of yourself you become, the more you are aware of the amazing things, people and opportunities that are around you, which then makes it even easier for you to get to that goal or that thing. Number 5, practice mindfulness. Stuff we've spoken about, again, on the podcast multiple times. Mindfulness is spending time in the present moment and being aware of your thoughts and feelings. Because we've sort of mentioned before, self-confidence and self-esteem comes down to thoughts. So are you aware of the thoughts that you're having? If not, I suggest just sitting in some silence. Because sitting in the silence is where the magic happens. And many of you will say, I can't meditate, I'm too busy to meditate. And there's an amazing quote I say on Instagram all the time that pops up saying that if you are too busy to meditate for 10 minutes, then you need to meditate for 40. Because fundamentally, we're busy, but we're busy being busy. We're not busy being productive with anything really that's moving us forward. But actually, if you can practice mindfulness and meditation, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, and just find that quiet space. Because as Thich Nhat Hanh said in one of his amazing books, can't remember which book it was, it might be The Art of Mindfulness, he mentions if you can just close your eyes and find that peace, then you're always home. And that's such a powerful thing. When was the last time you actually embraced yourself as home? Because you are home. But we're too afraid to sit with ourselves. We're too afraid to sit with ourselves because we don't want to do the work and actually unpicking what's there. But unpicking what's there is what's causing our life to be so chaotic that we don't want to spend time with ourselves. So it's a vicious, self-fulfilling prophecy. Then we've got seek social support. Again, connect with people. Again, whether that's on podcasts or anything like that. And it sounds a bit bizarre that you can connect with people through podcasts. But again, I've got loads of people I call my online mentors. They've never met me before in their life. But you can learn so much and you can connect with people through podcasts when people are sharing their stories and experiences. There's stuff out there. Again, YouTube. Like people, if you've listened to this podcast for a number of episodes, you'll start to feel a bit more connected with me because I'm so honest and open. And again, if you're sat in the gym or you're walking, I'm literally there with you by your side. And I have clients that will literally say to me, when I'm struggling, I listen to a podcast so I can hear your voice. They feel connected to me. So you don't have to have that physical connection if you don't have it there, but find that social support, whatever that looks like for you. Hopefully you do have physical people in your life that can help big you up and help grow you and help support you on your journey. But if not, understand that you still have that support there. It just may not be in the physical form. And then number 7, this kind of goes without saying, challenge those negative thoughts. I did a whole episode on that way back when. So that's episode 73. I think that's before Mikey came on board. But episode number 73. So if you're on YouTube, it may not be on YouTube, it'll be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But that's all about controlling your thoughts, managing negative thoughts and feelings. I literally walk you through the process of how to actually identify these thoughts and feelings and seeing where these feelings actually come from. So you can actually break these feelings and emotions down into their rawest form so you can do something about that and ask yourself what needs are not being met. Because normally you're feeling these negative emotions because you don't have a need that's being met and you aren't aware of that. But once you're aware of that and you can get that need met, it will help you change that emotion into a more positive state. And the final point here is celebrating your uniqueness. Embrace the things that make you unique, because that is what makes you special. Like, we are all unique, special creatures. So embrace the fact that you are unique, embrace your flaws, because that is what makes you unique and that is what makes you special. Now, again, these are just 8 little key points here. And if you've been listening to podcasts long enough, you'll know that we sort of deep dive each of these on pretty much every single episode when we have guests on. Like, it's all sort of there. But I want to give you almost like a succinct 8-point thing to just spark something. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope that you are having a good day wherever this finds you. And I'll see you guys on Thursday.